Well, good day, my darling little oddity. Are you ready for a bedtime story? You know, children are really amazing. Yes, as a dad, I am legally obligated to say that, but it's still true. Children are capable of incredible things that adults often forget are even possible. Well, anyway, get cozy. As you may have guessed already, tonight's story is called Child. Once upon a time, in a local faraway place, there lived a young child who nobody wanted. They had no parents, no family, and they had to make their own friends. Despite all this, they were a very happy little child. Sometimes, one of the friends would get a little too rambunctious, but that was alright because the child had a special trick. They knew something that most people seem to forget. You see, when something's scary or bad, the best thing you can do is make it stop being real. A story well written can capture more than an imagination, after all. When one of the child's friends would get a little too rowdy, they'd write them in a story, and the friend would stop being naughty because they were only naughty in the story now. Sometimes the people in the town would be scared of the child and their friends, especially when the friends got too rowdy. The child hadn't yet written them into a story, but that was okay, because they could always make more friends and write away the bad ones. And if a townsperson got hurt, well, they'd be part of the story too. So time passed, as it tends to do, and the child continued making friends and writing away the naughty ones. One day, they were sitting beneath an old dead tree, making new friends from the fallen branches and bits of grass. Something caught their eye. There, high up in the rotting branches of the tree, bloomed a beautiful flower, as dark red and shiny as that nasty grape juice the adults of the town would drink. This tree had been dead for so long that nothing should be growing up in its branches. Naturally, the child had to investigate. They set down the half-finished friend, despite its little protests, and started to climb the tree. The child had to be extra careful when climbing because the dead branches would sometimes break under their weight and fall to the ground. One even landed on the half-finished friend they'd left below. The child felt a little bad for not giving that friend legs so they could move. Nevertheless, they kept climbing higher and higher until they finally reached the branch that held the bewitching blossom. Carefully, the child shimmied along the branch towards their prize until it was a mere finger's length away, the branch creaking under the child's weight, but they were so close now. With one last forward hop, the child finally closed their fingers around the stem of the flower and snapped it off the branch. But the branch also snapped. The child fell. Not wanting to lose the precious flower they'd worked so hard to retrieve, the child hugged it close to their body, causing a small cloud of pollen to waft up into their face. And just like that, the child wasn't falling anymore. They were in a place where things like up and down had lost their meaning, because there was simply forever in both directions. A fall is really only a fall if you land, after all. Before the child was a great tree stretching into forever in both directions. Unlike the rotten tree they'd been climbing, this tree was full of life. Full of all life, as a matter of fact. Anything that ever was, would been, or could have been, welled within its infinite branches. It wasn't hard for the child to spot the branch where everything they'd ever known lived. And despite the fact that there were unending branches stretching in every direction around them, their branch stood out like a shining beacon. They gazed lovingly upon their branch. It was so beautiful, full of possibilities. The child could have stayed in that place forever, just to behold the singular majesty of their branch. But their attention was drawn away by a great creaking and cracking, as if someone was trying to climb this tree too. Much like when the child had climbed the rotting tree, the branch couldn't hold under the weight and it snapped off, plummeting into the forever below. Tears formed in the child's eye because they heard all of the life that dwelled in that branch screaming and mourning as it disappeared into the forever below. What could have made that branch fall? The child didn't know. They searched frantically in the direction it had fallen from, trying to find an answer. There, amid the always canopy, the child saw the answer and cried anew. A wound in the tree bled possibilities into forever, and something was there to drink deeply of the precious sap. A tendril born from all of the branches that had ever fallen into forever greedily fed on the possibility, stopping any new branches from ever forming there. Child's sorrows quickly turned to fear as they sought out their home branch once more, and there at its base was a slowly snaking tendril, ugly and crimson, just starting to take hold. Even mired in the deepest terror they'd ever felt, the child could see that in some ways the tendril was just like them. It was unwanted, and it had made its own friends. These friends would all be naughty, unlike the child's friends, who were only sometimes bad. If enough of these bad friends made their way into the branch, it was sure to break. The child's back thumped softly onto the ground, and they were gazing up into the branches of that old rotten tree once again. The flower in their grasp was crushed and tattered, but that was the least of their concerns now. Like a song stuck in the back of their mind, the child could still feel the tendril wrapping around their branch. Something that big was going to take a very, very big story to write away, and that would take some time. But the friends! The child realized that if they could just keep there from being too many of the tendril's naughty friends, they would buy time to write that big story. Jumping to their feet, the child hurried back towards the town. They were going to need to let their friends know about what had happened. They were going to need a lot of paper and a lot of ink. More than anything, they were going to need help to find out when the naughty friends showed up. The child would teach others their special trick, and together they might be able to keep their branch from falling into forever. Oh, yes, I know, usually a story will end with the end. But that's not what this is. This story is still going on after all. But that is enough for tonight. Close your eyes and go to sleep, my little oddity. I'll read you another story soon. After all, there are a lot of friends coming, so we'll always have something to read. For now, night. Otter Dad loves you. Mwah!